Hello, everyone. I'm Colin Tessier of WrestleZone.com, joined by John Clark tonight to talk about WWE NXT 2.0. John, how you doing on this fine Tuesday evening?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Not the best episode of NXT tonight. We'll get into all that, but trying to soldier on through here. But before we do this, I remind you all this show, like everything we do here at WrestleZone, is available on all of our platforms: SoundCloud, Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, whatever it may be. We've got you covered. Now, John, shortly, I think it was right around the main event time, I saw someone tweet online that this was, in their mind, the worst episode of NXT they'd ever seen. I don't know if it goes that far, but it was not good. And we've been talking for weeks now that that's more par for the course. But this one did feel particularly rough. But John, it started so good. We had a very good 6-man tag team match: Imperium and Diamond Mine. As you might expect, Gunther and Fabian Eichner and Marcel Barthel picked up a pretty good win over Roderick Strong and the Creed brothers. Good to see Imperium picking up wins. They are just a very imposing and dominant stable. I like seeing them win matches. I don't like the whole Gunther thing still. The crowd continues to chant Walter, so maybe kind of suggesting that they didn't need to change the name in the first place. But we did see Walter get the pinfall win here. So what do you think about this opening match and another win for Imperium here as they continue to gain more momentum?
It was definitely, I thought, an interesting match. It was very good. A rarity for NXT of putting on very good matches, especially when it's a six-man tag match. Uh, I don't know where this is benefiting Imperium or even Diamond Mine. I don't understand. Uh, Fans are still not acquainted or accepting of Gunther's name yet. He still has the same talent. He still has the same gimmick, really, if you
Yeah,
think about it.
yeah.
And he's obviously still one of the best wrestlers in the world. So we'll see where it leads, especially with his future. But
I liked it, and Steven Chambers saying he liked the opening match as well. This did feel kind of, not that it's new, but just Diamond Mine has been losing a good amount lately, so they aren't exactly riding a lot of momentum. Now we do know the Creed brothers will face Grizzled Young Veterans next week in a semifinal match for the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. So in a way, I kind of would have liked to see them, even if it wasn't this match, like just get a win heading into that, because at this point they're one of the four final teams. So you would hope they would have a little more momentum going into that. That's what Brian Everett is saying here. It was a good match. Didn't like the Diamond Mine taking the loss. But no, I think Diamond Mine and especially Imperium always punking matches. That's what DJ's saying. Gunther or silly gimmicks or whatever you might want to say, they're all very good in the ring. I like seeing them together, and again, I'm glad they're together here on NXT. And I'm curious to see what's going to happen next with it. Again, they're gaining a lot of steam here, and I'm curious to see. And I kind of like this idea from Steven Chambers. Could we even see Gunther challenge for the NXT title potentially as soon as Mania weekend? We know they'll have the takeover like event at WrestleMania weekend, so that could be something we could look forward to. And we have seen Walter look pretty impressive already so far, and he obviously has the background to kind of quickly set that up. He's been a dominant NXT UK champion, so I would think, yeah, that would make sense. I think on paper it will be really a good match, but the only problem is you wouldn't really want to see either guy take the loss. But I do feel like we might be heading in that direction based on how we've been seeing Imperium get booked here so far. But no, it was a good opener. And again, that's why it was a little disappointing. The rest of the show kind of fell apart pretty quickly, but there were things I did like. Joe Gacy has mastered the art of looking absolutely just creepy. We had this backstage segment that was taped earlier. It was released online earlier in the day to set up the match. So he's talking to LA Knight's cutting a promo. Gacy and Harlan sneak up on him. And Gacy says, "Oh, you've got all this anger and this hatred for Grayson Waller. I can help you with that." And Knight kind of like teased him along and said, "Oh, we can go out in the ring and settle it there." LA Knight he's so good. He's so natural in promos. Like, he just really comes off as so like a person, not a character on TV. He really seems so genuine. I've always been a fan of his, so gotta say I'm doing back in the spotlight here. He wound up having a match with Joe Gacy. It was pretty good, and then Grayson Waller comes out with what did they changed the guy's name to like Sangha. They like kind of briefly mentioned at one point, and then they confirmed it later. Sangha performing on his Sorav, his new powerhouse enforcer kind of thing there. So Waller interferes, costs Knight the match against Gacy. Big one for Gacy, pinning LA Knight like that. And that sets up Knight versus Sangha for next week. Now, if Knight wins, Waller said that he might at least reconsider their restraining order. And I feel like we might see this match at Vengeance Day. I think that's kind of seems pretty like at this point, because John, these guys have been feuding for months now, and I do think it's kind of time to move on and do something else for both guys.
Yeah, this isn't necessarily been doing it for me. I don't. Yeah, the comment with LA Knight being too good for NXT, especially with all the rumors you're hearing about them being high up on him, which they probably are. LA Knight and Waller is going to be a good feud. But there's just something missing. I don't know. The whole show just seemed off tonight for some reason. It just didn't. I don't know if they were just like in cruise control or just like I don't even know. But then you got the next two shows that are going to be on Sci-Fi. I mean, they did basically load up next week's show. To me, it was confusing because like, are they just trying to like keep the number they have now on Sci-Fi? Like, I don't get it. I just don't get it. And this is a part of it that I thought didn't benefit anybody, I guess.
Yeah, I would agree. It wasn't, to me again. It wasn't a very good show. Brian saying it wasn't a bad show. I definitely left feeling more. Luke saying NXT's been off for 6 months. Well, yeah, yeah. I don't know if not 6 months.
I mean, I wouldn't say at least like at this level for 6 months. I mean, I get people, like I said before, are I don't want to say afraid. They just don't like change. They
I
are
know I don't.
the people that say don't fix what's not broken. And I get that part. I do get that part. The part I don't get is the people that just don't like to see the change. Like, for example, I think if let's in this imaginary world say that everything is the same that it is back then now. And the only thing that changed was the logo and the colors and the stage and everything. People would still be complaining that they changed the logo and this and that for no reason. Like, if the talent and stuff was still the same, I think people would still be complaining anyway. But I get that the program has been much worse because it has been. I don't know. And then tonight you got this like they're trying to give more of like that sports feel to it where they're throwing it to like a backstage interview in the middle of a match. They're putting in the corner like reporting now.
Yeah, I noticed
Mackenzie
that.
Mitchell. It's like what? Like, come on. Like, I don't know.
I don't
It's
know. I don't know what they're going for. They yeah, especially with NXT. With Raw and SmackDown, you kind of get it, like because with that, it's sports entertainment. You could really, to me at least, kind of justify more of those sports kind of things. NXT has kind of firmly veered off into the more entertainment side. Brian Everett pointing out they are constantly introducing all these new characters, and that continued tonight. We saw a vignette for one new character, Nikita Lyons, who is this musician kind of person. Didn't really care for that. Like that just, I don't know, didn't do it for me. Like she was like singing or like performing her music, and like I think it was that good. So if you're gonna have someone do music as a gimmick, I would hope that they'd be. I'm not trying to knock her. I'm just saying, I don't know. That does seem kind of off to me. And then they have this like weird on-screen graphic where it looks very like 80s, like Nikita Lyons. Like looks weird. Apparently, she's a nunchuck master, which is really cool. And I hope they lean into that. So I saw that going on Twitter. That she's a nunchuck master. Well, she's not in the WWE ranks. So maybe they'll find a way to bring that in. But we did see the return. If we got new characters or repackaged characters, Saray came back, and we officially saw the arrival of her anime like character. So basically she comes out, she's wearing this schoolgirl uniform, and then kind of like the Fiend's entrance to WrestleMania 37, like she just kind of morphed into like her old self, like the the Saray that we kind of used to seeing, and then she wins a match, and she goes backstage, back to the schoolgirl, and then she has this necklace on that's from her grandmother apparently, and the thing is like glowing light, and it's a little kind of tacky. And she was saying like it represents like the spirit of her grandmother or whatever. Like I don't know, man. Like again, all these characters, by and large, other than maybe the very tippity top, Bron Breakker, Kamala Hayes, the ones that are really getting pushed as actual superstars. Otherwise, it just feels like a very odd assembly of like cartoon characters, and I don't know. But so, what do you think of Sarai coming back here and having the chance to see her new gimmick kind of her new gimmick in action, at least, rather than just some vignettes that we've seen?
I think it's a little early to really make a good prediction if it's going to work out. She has the superstar potential, but they're like they do so many times, misguiding, putting this in the wrong direction. But again, ring work was still good, and I think once she continues to, as all others do, get comfortable and used to the quote unquote WWE style of doing things, because we know they're more persuasive and lenient towards the entertainment side rather than the actual physical wrestling side, which I know doesn't make any sense, but that's just how it is. They're more keen on having people's character work, mic work, things like that be the way they want it to be, because if you really dig down and look at the NXT people, their in-ring like move sets are pretty similar. There's just a few differences here and there, and then of course you got your signatures and finishers that are different, but um it's all about your character and your gimmick and how you can talk, and we've seen that time and time again where you have people on the main roster that have absolute terrific in-ring skills, but very poor promo skills. You look at Ricochet, you could argue Cesaro is not really that good on the mic either. And then they don't get opportunities. They're put on the back burner because they can't talk. They don't they I guess you could say they don't sell the shirts because they don't draw people to their character, and
Right.
basically, yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of the way things are these days. If you can take a character and make it work, chances are you'll have more opportunities to be successful. They'll put you in those positions of at least being on TV, being in matches, winning matches. Because those sometimes matter at least. So maybe that's part of the thing over NXT. They're trying to like get these characters to work on NXT, so that in theory, by the time they get to the main roster, if they do, then that they would be at least in theory more successful. But unfortunately, some of them not working so much. On the bright side, I think we already, as I mentioned earlier, DJ saying he's liking what Joe Gacy's doing. It's like a twisted serial killer, a sadistic killer kind of thing, that evil look on his face, like Waylon Mersey from way back in the day. I do think Joe Gacy could be one of those success stories as a real good like character work kind of guy. And I think he looked good in the ring here tonight as well against LA Knight. So, but best of both worlds in that sense. When you can have a good character and someone that can back it up in the ring, that's what you want. The sports and the entertainment. So, hoping to see more from him moving forward here. But we got a bunch of developments with the women's division here. We're talking about Saray. We're talking about Nikita Lyons and some other ones as well. But Toxic Attraction came out. Persia Prada and Indy Hartwell will get a tag title shot at NXT Vengeance Day. And they'll be challenging JC Jane and Gigi Dolan to get a promo after Persia and Indy beat them last week. Not a whole lot to talk about there, but then Kaylee Ray comes out. She wants a title shot for Mandy because she chased Mandy off last week. They've been feuding for a couple weeks now. Mandy turns her down. And that leads into a pretty interesting promo segment where Kaylee's talking about her background. She was actually a champion. She was ex-UK champion. She's a wrestler. And then Mandy Rose is like, well, what about my background? I've been on billboards. I've been on posters and magazines and all this, that, and the other thing. So definitely a very clear contrast of personalities, of style, of identity, really. So I was actually kind of compelled by that, where it's like, I don't know, like it drew me in more than we've seen more recently in terms of some of like Kaylee smashing the photo set didn't really think that was very interesting, but this promo was kind of interesting. But then later in the show, in several segments, we saw Kaylee basically chasing Mandy around the backstage area with a bat and trying to like bully her into giving her a title shot. At one point, Idris Enofe and Malik Blade are backstage trying to game plan, and Malik was Idris saying, "Oh, what if Mandy Rose showed up right now? What would you say to her?" And Malik like closes his eyes, like and he starts talking, and they burst through the door, and Mandy like falls into his lap, and Malik says, "Oh, thank goodness," and they keep fighting, and then like you just, "All right, come on, we got to go," and Malik says, "I need a minute. I need a minute," and then Wade Barrett on commentary says the competition is stiffening up. I have the humor of a 5-year-old sometimes. I just so on a show like this, you take what you can get. That made me laugh. I like that, but keep going on. But, they're tasting each other. They're brawling. Then we go to later on, and Kaylee dumps spaghetti or something on
Spaghetti
Mandy.
and then a cake.
A cake that didn't even stick to her. Like
I know, it barely even touched her.
Bit of a mixed bag of a group of segments. Really good promo segment. I laughed because the Malik thing was kind of funny, and also very cringeworthy at the same time. And then the spaghetti and the cake, not great. And then the show ends after the main event match. Just to stick with it. Kaylee and Mandy go out to the ring, and Kaylee's beating Mandy up and bullies her yet again into giving her a title match. Not a Vengeance Day, but next week. So we'll see Kaylee Ray challenge Mandy Rose for the title next week. So John, I guess we can just group the Toxic Attraction things together here. What are you thinking about these two looming title matches here for Mandy and for the tag titles?
I expect that at least for the time being, I would agree with Steven that they're probably going to hold on to him for now. But then I also could agree with Brian saying that she should be the next women's champ. So it could go either way. They haven't really shown anything that kind of would like make you lean one way or the other. As far as like who you think is going to win, not necessarily who you would want to win. But when it's all said and done, if I had to pick one that would potentially change hands, it's probably the tag titles because I think the tag titles could change hands and it would make sense more. What do you think?
I think I would agree. I think of the two, especially if you ask me, I could see them going with Persia and Indy. We had a brief promo backstage where my guy Dex Loomis was back. He didn't say anything, as you might expect, but he was there. He was with he was with Indy. The happy couple back together. Having that, just kind of having that back in at least the one segment, I was like, oh, maybe they're kind of doing something there. We've seen some tension with Persia and Indy about that relationship, maybe a little bit. Yes, of course we love Index over here, at least on my side of things. I'm a big fan of Index. Happy to see them every time they're on. So no, I kind of thought that might be something. But with that tension, it'd be kind of weird if they won, and then then it would turn into a can they coexist thing. If Toxic Attraction does win does win at Vengeance Day, Steven Chambers pointing out maybe we'll see whoever winds up winning the Women's Dusty Cup getting the titles anyway. Beyond that, and now today's February 1, so hopefully we will find out more about the Women's Dusty Cup maybe as soon as next week. Maybe they'll announce the teams this weekend like they did similarly for the men's side of things. But no, I think yet again I'm still enjoying the Mandy Rose run. I think there's definitely a lot more they can do there. I don't think it's really the right time to have her drop the title. And I don't know, Kaylee Ray hasn't really been framed like this, I don't know, world beating like challenger. Like she bullied her with a bat and like made her give her a title shot. She was on the winning team last week, but she chased Mandy away. She didn't even get the win there necessarily. So I feel like they usually kind of choreograph it a little more of like, oh, they're picking up wins, at least sometimes. No, sometimes they'll just go for the shocking title switch, but at least for me, I'm old fashioned. Give me some momentum, give me some signs like, oh, this is where we're going. So, but on the flip side, Brian's saying maybe, at least he's saying, Kaylee Ray should be the next women's champion, given her background and just shake it up a little bit in terms of the title scene there. At the very least, he was saying Kaylee's a good opponent, but I didn't see anybody beating Toxic Attraction for a while, and that's probably more I would lean. And again, even if some team does come out of the Women's Dusty Cup, that would be maybe a good challenger for Gigi and JC. As Steven Chambers pointing out, yes, we did see the official formation of one team tonight. Raquel Gonzalez and Cora Jade will be a team. They had a match here tonight, pretty darn good. Raquel won, good effort in a loss for Cora Jade. And even with the win, Raquel Gonzalez, I guess it was a matter of earning her respect. She goes over and says, "Let's go win this thing." So they will be teaming up seemingly in the Women's Dusty Cup. And I guess more than anybody, I would think they could beat Toxic Attraction because at least they've already been established, whereas everyone else would feel like a pretty randomly thrown together team. So D just asked, saying he knows you'll disagree, John. He was saying that he truly thinks Cora and Raquel can really win the whole cup. What do you think that might be the case, or do you have your money on somebody else? What are you expecting to see? Or I mean, it's obviously very early. We don't even know who's going to be in it, but at least in here today, what are you thinking about maybe Raquel and Cora maybe winning the women's side of things here?
Yeah, as I said last week, it's really hard to predict. I do think they do have to be the early favorites to win, but
Yeah,
I'm not convinced that they're going to be the ones that will win. So, I guess I would agree and disagree with him. He says that I always disagree with him, but that's mostly true. But in this case, I don't necessarily disagree, but I don't necessarily agree because we need to see more information as far as who else is in this first.
I agree. The timing is a little weird, even from bringing up Persia and Indy. Like they're going to be challenging for the titles, and then in theory they could still be in the tournaments and they could earn another title shot. And that seems a little wonky to me. It's like to me you might as well like I don't know, try to build someone else up instead, because like in theory they'd be the perfect choice to win the Women's Dusty Cup, but they're already getting a title shot, so that's a little convoluted and redundant anyway. So maybe a missed opportunity there, because I think they would probably be the best choice on paper to win. Maybe other than, or maybe I would say like they're definitely right up there with Cora and Raquel. I'm definitely going to agree with Brian saying they don't have enough women's tag teams here, especially on the NXT side. I did forget, Steven reminding me about Casey Carter and Casey Canzaro and Kaden Carter. They're also a team there as well, so I could see them winning. Maybe I think they might be maybe a favorite at this point as well. So now look at that. We have in theory 2 teams, maybe 3 with if Persia or Indy are in there as well. We're running through the women's division here, so we might as well stick with it. DJ pointing out that yes, we did have an interesting match from 1D2 tonight. So 1D2 comes out, and her theme song, John, is an alarm clock, and then it drops into this like funky like
a
rap
lullaby.
yeah, it was weird, man. Like it was like a lullaby, an alarm clock, and then like a lullaby on top of a rap track kind of thing. That was odd. And then she winds up facing Amari Miller. And previously, at a pre-tape, they had Amari and Tiffany Stratton, Daddy's little girl, backstage, and Tiffany was saying basically, "Oh, if you beat 1D2, we can go on a shopping trip." So I was like, "All right, that's the stakes for this match, I guess." And then it's a fine match. Wendy decides, like pretty much 30 seconds in, it's a good time to just pop a squat and take a nap in the middle of the ring. So that's cool. Steven's saying he's digging money too, push her for the title. If you're into it, cool. It's not really doing it for me, but as I always say, we are all about respectfully disagreeing. If you're like on a show like this, you got to pick and choose. Like if something works for you, if you're liking it, more power to you. You like just take what you can get, right? That's my philosophy. But something that was interesting was Tiffany Stratton coming out, giving her credit card to Amari Miller as if to use it as a weapon, and then it backfires and 1D2 wins. So all aboard the choo-choo train, I guess. But not just saying Wendy's different. She is different. There's no doubt about that. She is different. And that's the classic debate about is being different inherently good, or can there be good different and bad different? Brian saying, what have they done to Mei Ying? She can wrestle, but the gimmick's just not working. I mean, yeah, she went from being Mei Ying, this like intimidating badass, to resident napper, I guess. John, what do you think about 1D2 at this point and this little development with Tiffany Stratton? We do know that they will face off next because Wendy also stole Tiffany's credit card, so now they're actually feuding.
Yeah, the story is more likely to fail than succeed, I would think, though. But I mean, at least there's a foundation with all the antics we've seen. Uh, let's not like forget that Amari Miller was in this match, but still like looked at like as an afterthought because she wasn't the focus at all.
Right.
Now this character, like as soon as I heard the song, I was like, "What is going on?" And then the character is like, "Oh boy," like somebody that is, I guess, like tired all the time. That's the point here. She's
Yep, that's
tired,
it.
and then she's like, so it's like, like Riddle always wrestles he's barefoot all the time.
Yeah.
Like that's his thing. He's always barefoot. And Wendy Chu's thing now is she's gonna wrestle in pajamas, I guess.
Yep.
Like,
That's it. That's all there is to it. And that's just saying she's not sure it's a good different. No, and for me at least, what we've seen so far, I'm not going to write it off, but what we've seen so far, I would probably lean more on. It's not a good different. It's not a good different. But DJ wrestling maybe more teams to the Women's Dusty Cup. We saw Tiffany Stratton here because she teamed up with Nikita Lyons. Maybe. I'm not sure how that could work. Like, I mean, they're going to have to throw some people randomly together, and it's going to feel kind of clunky. So there are worse options, but sure, why not? Why not? Just at this point, NXT is very much a throw it at the wall and see what sticks kind of show. So why not? See if that works. But hey, as Nestor points out, everybody loves PJs, so maybe that's why Wendy Chu is quickly becoming an online sensation. But yeah, I don't know. I mentioned the index thing a minute earlier, and I just want to touch on. We had Brooks Jensen asking Persia and Indy for love advice because he wants to, I guess, ask either Casey or Caden out on a date. And he said he wanted to take him out on his pickup truck and listen to country music. And yet again, John, weekly reminder, as someone that really, really, really dislikes country music and all that jazz, that's not doing it for me either. But boy, someone else that's notoriously not doing it for me, Von Wagner, back on NXT. He's alongside Robert Stone. Robert Stone now speaking for him, thankfully. And Robert Stone says that Von Wagner will be a future WWE champion, a future Universal champion. This man, he's the one that's going straight to the moon, John. He's the one that's going to win titles. He's going straight to the top. Nobody can possibly stop Von Wagner. John, what are you thinking about the reintroduction, the reestablishment of Von Wagner here alongside Robert Stone?
Oh, it's still not doing the trick here. I don't. I just think the originality might be there, but it's repetitive. Like not repetitive, but it's something that just it doesn't make sense. Like it's its original idea, but it doesn't make any sense because they just have been randomly put together. Like you have to at least be creative when you're being original with that.
Yeah. I mean, you see like powerhouses of mouthpieces all the time. It's very much a common thing. This was just one segment, so we can't like write it off yet. But you know, didn't exactly like change my mind about Von Wagner. It wasn't like, oh, I'm so excited to see what Von Wagner's going to do. But we'll see. He will face Andre Chase next week. Andre Chase won a match, John. He faced Draco Anthony. Draco Anthony, one of the newcomers to NXT 2.0, had a promo or a little video kind of thing where I guess his character is that he works hard at the gym, so that's good. But Andre Chase actually won a match. Like I was actually very pleasantly surprised. I feel like Andre never wins matches, but of course, I think this was just have him go from very, very cold momentum to lukewarm so he can lose to Von Wagner next week. So then I can be sad about that next week. But for tonight, I'm glad that Andre Chase won a match. I don't know, man. It's fun. He's got the student section. He's got the teachable moments. He's doing like the chants in the ring. Like this is one of the things that it's working for me, and I like it. I think it's one of the more successful kind of characters we've seen, or one of the more enjoyable ones we've seen on NXT here. And because Andre's making it work very, very well, liking to see that. But we got to come early in the show from Stephen Chambers. We're talking about Vengeance Day here. Talk about the Dusty Up. We can talk about that a little more in a minute. But one thing we will see is Cameron Grimes and go challenging Kamau Hayes for the North American title. They had a little promo exchange here with Cameron Grimes making a joke about how Trick Williams and Kamau Hayes are like Squidward and SpongeBob, and how they're up on Ollie J's Instagram liking her bikini bottoms. Cameron Grimes is the MVP. I will not hear otherwise. He's always just so entertaining. Like a weekly highlight of the show. Like him a lot. For the match, Brian's saying they're going to tear the house down. Hayes had a good match, saying he's going to shoot for the moon and is going to take the stars with him as his casualties. Pretty cool promo exchange here. I do think it's going to be a very, very good match. As for predictions, Steven's saying he would like to see Grimes win, but I think Carmelo retains. I mean, yeah, at this point to me, as it has been, Carmelo Hayes and Bron Breakker very, very firmly locked in as 1A and 1B on NXT. But good to have Grimes in the spotlight here. John, what do you think about this little exchange and the ongoing build to this title match here for Vengeance Day?
I am excited to see how it unfolds because and I say this all the time, that the way that they kind of build things up, it can be either unpredictable or it can be really predictable. And we've seen him in action before at numerous takeovers and even just shows in general where we've thought maybe that it was predictable or maybe it was unpredictable and it's went the other way around. So like that basically solidifies that you can never really know if it's predictable, even though you can think and say, that that's predictable because then you're wrong. Now, as far as where this could end up, like I said before, he doesn't need to win, and I don't think he's going to win. Now, I know you like him and you think that there's a chance that he could, but I don't know. It was a little awkward for me. It felt that there was a little, uh, I guess you could say, confusion with what exactly the point was of this. Like, I don't understand exactly that. Like, what was the point of this? You could have just done a backstage interview or a video package or something to get your point across.
I don't disagree. This is just something that we see all the time of like the face-to-face confrontation where there's not really a point per se. It's just kind of a way to have a champion and a contender say some words and interact and in theory get some heat for their title match here. But I mean, I would more say I'm a big fan of Cameron Grimes, but I don't necessarily think he's going to win. As you said, you never really know, but I do think Carmelo Hayes is definitely locked in here, at least in the short term of being the North American champion. And Grimes, I'd be surprised, but I could see him with a title. Whereas if for somebody else that hadn't been built up as much, maybe not so much the case. But I didn't mind this so much. Maybe they did this week because next week they'll focus on some other things. Where if they have, we saw like a video promo for Tony D'Angelo and Pete Dunne. Maybe we'll get something with them next week instead. They're trying to maybe kind of just shuffle the cards a little bit here. Speaking of that steel cage match, so Pete Dunne had a promo. This feud of Tony D seemingly will continue with Dunne saying that he wants to face Tony D'Angelo in a steel cage match. Now, I would have to think that might be like a main event for just one of the TV episodes and not for Vengeance Day. But at this point, we know they'll have the men's Dusty Cup, North American title. I feel we're leaning into an NXT title match, maybe, but with the cards, of course, the women's tag titles as well. We know we're getting Mandy and Kaylee Ray next week, so they're gonna have to fill up 2 hours somehow. So, I would expect roughly 4 matches. So it feels like that one could fit on the card there, or they could have it as a main event, give it more time on an NXT episode here. But yet again, Pete Dunne, one of those guys, Raquel Gonzalez, another one, LA Knight, another one. These performers with these swirling rumors about main roster call-ups, but here they are still in NXT. So with Pete Dunne, a guy that literally got a memorial service courtesy of Tony D'Angelo, I am maybe a little confused, like not what he's doing in NXT, but like again, I feel like there is definitely opportunity to have him move up to main roster and beyond some dark matches and main event tapings that hasn't happened yet.
I mean, yeah, you pretty much nailed it on the head, and I don't understand, like Brian says, he needs to be called up. I thought he would have by now. It's not the fact that there were no NXT superstars in either Royal Rumble. The fact that nobody was even called up in a permanent role at all either is, I guess they're saving it for WrestleMania, because you would think that Tommaso and Pete Dunne, and maybe even Cameron Grimes, LA Knight, are 4 guys that absolutely are on the way soon.
Yeah, and on the women's side, I agree with those picks as well. I don't know. I just a very clear feeling like wow, when I saw Raquel tonight, I was like, wow, she really needs to be on the main roster. Like it's time. Now we've got this thing with Cora Jade. If they do win the Women's Dusty Cup, that'll extend her stay on NXT longer, presumably. But I think she's been overdue for a call up pretty much since she lost the title, and that was back in October. So I think it's well past time there. As always, I say all the time on the Raw and SmackDown shows, always in favor of some shakeup, and that's what Brian Everett's saying. The call ups do shake up the roster a little bit, and if they want to wait for like the post WrestleMania season, I mean, I get it at this point. It's already February, so I understand that. But no, I was Stephen reminding us. Yes, I was also bothered by the fact that there weren't any extra wrestlers in the Rumble match on either side. You had literally 15 free agents and/or Hall of Famers in the women's match, not one from NXT, which felt very odd to me. And on the men's, we had 2 surprises technically. We had Shane McMahon and Bad Bunny that weren't advertised. Definitely could have used one of the spots in general, one of the 30 spots even on a guy like Dunn, Ciampa, but they didn't. So you definitely, as not just saying, NXT confused all of us, WWE's roster management confuses all of us, and we do our best to make sense of it and make the most of it. But no, it was a pretty weird omission to have no NXT representation in the Rumble at all. But onward we go. So we have otherwise here. Oh, we can touch on the men's Dusty Cup. So we do have the men's Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic will have its semifinal matches next week. It'll be MSK versus Idris Nefe and Malik Blade, as well as I mentioned earlier, Grizzled Young Veterans versus Diamond Mine of the Creed brothers, I should say. So, John, at this juncture at least, do you have a revised prediction for the Dusty Cup, or has your mind changed at all, or what do you think about it at this point?
Nope, my mind has not changed. I still stand by what I had said last week. But you asking me maybe makes me think that did you change?
John, I don't even remember who I picked. I've been working pretty much since 9 a.m. this morning, so I'm a little fried. I don't remember who I picked last week, but I think I felt fairly confident that MSK has a chance. I felt pretty confident it would not be Malik Blade and Idris Nefe, but now they're pretty much weekly segments. I'm like, are they actually going to do an ultimate underdog kind of thing? Creed brothers, maybe. I think they seem pretty likely at least to get to the finals. We got 2 comments here from Steven and Brian, both saying Creed brothers and MSK in the finals. And that's just saying with everybody in the chat at least, and I think John, you may have lent some support there as well. Everybody picked Jacket Time. And I'm happy to report that Jacket Time was a first round out, so we don't have to worry about that. But I think Creed brothers versus MSK would be probably the best matchup at this point. Based on Grizzled and Veterans, they haven't been booked very well lately. And again, unless they want to do the ultimate underdog kind of thing of Malik and Idris, not really digging that as well. In terms of just the believability, I wouldn't really be into seeing them challenge Imperium, whereas MSK, there was history there. Creed brothers, wouldn't mind seeing that either. Brian saying he likes Creed brothers, but he still likes Grizzled Young Veterans. They're great. Again, this is the 3rd year in a row they'll be in semifinals, so I feel for them in that sense. But as always, it comes down to booking. So got to think that's probably going to be MSK and the Creed brothers. And of the 2, why not give it to Creed brothers? I would say, build them up, build a new team. MSK's been there, done that, already been the champions. So, I think that might be the best pick here. Steven's asking, what about a triple threat match? I like the idea as well. I mean, we could easily get that, couple weeks after the Dusty Cup anyway. But I do feel like we are going to get a pretty clear winner here. And at this point, I would say probably the Creed brothers would be maybe the most beneficial one. So, let's talk of titles. Leads us into the main event. Bron Breakker, NXT champion, and Tommaso Ciampa facing Legado del Fantasma. Now, heading into the show, John, there was at least a little buzz, a little curiosity about a certain interaction that Bron Breakker had with Dolph Ziggler. So, in a digital exclusive last night after Raw, Dolph Ziggler brought up the fact that Bron Breakker tweeted at him saying, "Oh, I guess he said he doesn't work on Tuesdays, but I guess he doesn't work on Saturdays," referencing his elimination from the Royal Rumble. And Dolph was hinting he might come to NXT and pretty clearly doing so, that he would even take the title, leading many fans to wonder, would WWE actually have Dolph Ziggler come to NXT and face Bron Breakker? Didn't happen tonight, but could be in the cards at some point potentially. But a little interesting kind of tidbit there. they referenced the on commentary, but it was more framed like, oh, wasn't that interesting? Not like, oh, this is a developing situation. But as mentioned last week, Tommaso Ciampa wound up being the only friend that Bron Breakker could count on. And in the promo tonight, Tommaso said that he wants to help Breakker keep the title against the numbers game here of Legado kind of outnumbering him. So kind of had his back there. Thought that was cool. There was one point where like he said that, and I kind of had this little hunch of like, is he saying that because he wants to like screw him over and turn heel on him and take that back for himself? No, stuck by his side loyally. And yet again, then in the main event afterwards, there's a little confrontation with Santos Escobar. Breakker has back turned to Ciampa. I was like, is he gonna turn on him? No, I'm just paranoid. I've been conditioned to expect some of these things. They seem to be successfully coexisting so far, but there was one really pretty nasty spot. Ciampa sent a Joaquin Wilde flying off the top rope, and he just crashed right onto the broadcast table. That was pretty rough, pretty cool. It came across pretty cool on TV, but I'm sure he's gonna be so in the morning. But John, what do you think about this main event? And then another step in this rivalry between Escobar and Breakker here.
And there was a little weird thing there where it seemed like Breakker was holding his shoulder in the end. His left shoulder, he wasn't really moving it, but then he did there at the end. So Tommaso cannot, I don't even know if you would call him like a protector right now, but he can't continue into this role for long because he will become more and more irrelevant as time goes on. He's his own character. He needs a fresh angle. He needs to move to preferably the main roster. At this point, I feel like they're waiting until after WrestleMania for that. So unfortunately, we probably have at least 2 more months of this. You know, and I also don't see the title changing hands. So Breakker's probably the guy for a while, although Escobar is certainly a worthy challenger.
Yeah, no, I think that's gonna be a very good match. I've liked the build so far. He had a good promo last week. Legado looked good in defeat here. Like I said earlier, I'd like to see Santos have a match and against somebody, maybe even Ciampa, to get some momentum here. Maybe we'll see that. I mean, I'd feel weird to kind of abruptly do that next week, but I could see it happening. I don't know how much they can draw this out specifically. I feel like this will be a very good main event for Vengeance Day because, like you said, John, I don't think that there's any chance Bron would lose the title. As much as I do like Escobar, Steven saying likewise, it's going to be a great match, but Bron's going to retain. Unfortunately, it is not Escobar's time. I mean, I've been saying for months and months and months, I really want them to like push Escobar to the moon, and they haven't quite done that yet. He's had a good run with Legado. He's feuded for the North American title, never quite got it. So hasn't quite had that real breakout moment, that breakout win. He's been in the title scene. He's been right there, but not quite reaching that next level. And I think here we're going to kind of see the same thing. He'll be right just on the precipice, and then probably going to lose here. But I do think it's going to be a very good match. And yet again, talking about LA Knight, Roderick Strong, Cameron Grimes, Ciampa, Pete, all these guys. Brian Everett saying maybe, or he was saying Escobar is another one. He's a star in the making. He needs to go to the main roster. I mean, as much as I like him, at some point you gotta leave NXT something, so it's not just all the 2.0 guys. I feel like they kind of have to stagger that a little bit. And admittedly, it's kind of unfortunate they haven't done that yet because now there's just like this group of people that could easily move up tomorrow. But if that happens like kind of all at once, that would be pretty unfortunate in the sense of like then you're losing all of that veteran presence. Then it's hard to build the new guys, and it's a chain reaction like that. But I hope, like you said earlier, John, I feel like now especially we're in this bit of a waiting period, and I'm already impatient. I'm already like, let's go, let's call them up, let's do something, let's shake it up. And you're probably right that we're not going to see that in the immediate future. But Steven's saying, yeah, it's a pretty stacked card for next week, not too bad. They did stack up the card for Sci-Fi, as you mentioned, John. They'll be on Sci-Fi for the next 2 weeks. It's interesting. I mean, Raw did a really good number this week coming out of the Royal Rumble, so it had that going for it. And I didn't. I mean, I guess you could have expected that. NXT going to Sci-Fi, I feel like no matter what they do, even if they did like the NXT title match next week, it's probably going to be down. But they can't fault them for trying. I mean, if I'm looking at the card right here, so they'll have the 2 Dusty Rhodes Tag Classic semifinals. We're going to have LA Knight versus Sanga, and as I mentioned earlier, we are going to have Mandy Rose defending the women's title. So not a bad lineup by any means. I'm looking forward to that. But staying in the present here, John, if you had to rate the show on a scale from 1 to 10, How do you rate it? Based on all the things we've been running through here. 10.
No.
I was like,
There's a
what?
dot. There's a dot in the middle. There's a dot in the middle.
Okay, 5.5.
5. Yeah.
All right. Wow. John gave me the 2 hands, and I was like,
Oh
10
God,
out of
no.
10. Boy. Now should just a tick higher with a 6 out of 10 there. I try to keep it try to keep it in perspective. So it's even with 6 as well. I'll go for like a 5.9. I hate being negative. Like I hate to go like too low. It wasn't. There are things that I thought were really bad. There were things I thought were pretty good, but not bad. I'm hopeful for a pretty good show for. I'm hoping for a good show for Vengeance Day. I think next week, as I mentioned, is a good lineup. DJ was about to ask John what you're drinking if you're giving the show a 10. Been a long time since we've had an NXT show, even remotely close to a 10, unfortunately. Let's see, Brian Everett, a little higher there with a 6.5. Not a bad show. It was tough to keep up with all the new characters. I mean, yeah, we're getting these, like, they do these new characters in batches where they kind of stagger it, but then they'll introduce like a bunch kind of at the same time. So it's a little tricky in that sense, but DJ even higher with a 7.7. So again, not a bad show based on that number, but I thought it was pretty rough. We're quickly kind of I don't know, man. It's been a bit of a rough stretch. Again, some of these factors of thinking or hoping for some of these talents to get moved up, for maybe some more shakeup, and not getting that. So it's this weird kind of limbo in some senses, and then some of the new characters aren't really working, and some of them are. Some of them are. Braun Breaker, Kamal Hayes are doing good things. Really enjoying Andre Chase. So a mixed bag all around. That's why I gave it a 5.9. But I do want to reference, I mean, because at least tangentially related to NXT, Brian Kendrick, who was at least supposed to be on NXT a couple weeks ago, and actually he made a very brief appearance. He did get his release, as reported by Fightful earlier today. At least that was reported earlier today, and he is going to be making his AEW debut tomorrow on Wednesday against Jon Moxley. So ending his run with WWE. He's been around for several years now. He was one of the real kind of standouts on the cruiserweight division. Definitely a veteran, very very respected for his in-ring work, for his background, for his resume in that sense, and wishing him the best in AEW, but didn't work out in WWE. At least they wanted to go separate ways, and they did. So wishing him the best there, but. We're on to the next one here. Hopefully next week will be good. Again, friendly reminder, NXT will be on Sci-Fi next week. Don't forget. I'm sure that they'll be advertising all over the place, so they won't let you forget. But just in case, make sure to tune into Sci-Fi next week, because we'll not be on the US Network because of the Olympics. And otherwise here, John and I will be back here on Monday to talk about Monday Night Raw. Then we're back here on Tuesday to talk about NXT. Otherwise, schedule permitting, Robert and I are here on Fridays talk about Friday Night SmackDown, and we have a great stream of interviews constantly coming to you guys. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe. We appreciate you. We appreciate your support so much. It means very, very much. We'd not be here without you. Talking about the wild world of wrestling, whether it's a good show, bad show, toaster time, like NXT is these days, or anything in between. We really appreciate it so much. So you guys come here and spend your time with us, and just do your best, and as we do our best to do the one thing here, John, that we do at WrestleZone above all else. We come here just to tune out everything else, and we come to do one thing. You can tell me what that is.
Sit back, relax, enjoy the show.
Absolutely right. Thanks for listening, everybody.